Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today on the review table, we've got the brand new MJX X600 6-rotor copter. Now this guy is brand new to the scene, and it's a really cool looking 6-rotor, 6-motor HexaCopter. So today we're going to be reviewing the overall design of it, the durability, all the specs on how long the battery lasts, how it flies, what you get in the box, and also taking it out to fly in the house, at the park, see how it performs, and wrap it up with kind of a final pros and cons, final review, and if it's recommended or not. So let's get started. So in the box you get this cool looking, this is the black version, they also have a white version as well. You get this cool looking HexaCopter. The first thing you'll notice is if you get the black version, which I have here, this is a review model from gearbest.com. I'll have the links in the description of where to get this guy. The top has an on-off switch, which is always nice. That's pretty pronounced on the top there. And the black version is really cool looking. They also have the white version, like I said. It does have a really neat, sleek look to it. You might have noticed on the bottom here, I have some dual lock tape on here. This was for mounting a RunCam HD action cam, which this guy actually lifted really well. Really impressed with its lift. What you get in the box is some landing gear here. So you can choose to put it on or not. Of course, once you get good flying it, you don't have to put the landing gear on. But I'd recommend, if you're a beginner, leaving it on for the first few flights until you get comfortable without it. This version also comes with a FPV capable kit as well, where you would, here's the controller here, where you actually would mount the screen up here, and you can buy the camera that actually mounts to the bottom of the HexaCopter, and that kit is also available on GearBest, and I'll have a link to that in the description as well if you're into FPV. So of course you get the HexaCopter in the box, really nice looking multi-rotor. You get six propellers, which is nice. Some don't come with all 6, so you get an extra set of 6 there. You also get 6 prop guards. Put these on if you're just beginning or flying in the house and you're worried about hitting things. When you start getting good, take these off. You'll get more flight time and the wind won't blow it around as much. You also get this is a 700 mAh 2-cell 7.4 volt LiPo battery with a balance adapter. So this is great because it is a 7.4 volt multi-rotor, so you will get that higher performance with a higher voltage. So I'm really liking that they included this 7.4 volt spec with this HexaCopter. You get the battery charger in the box as well. The battery charger, it looks like it's the Euro type of charger, so if you're gonna get this Hex, I'd recommend getting one of these from eBay. It's this adapter that just slips on for if you live in the US. I picked this up for a couple bucks. I'll have that in the description too, but it's basically just from eBay. It didn't come in the box, and so just giving you guys a tip that if you do get this, get one of these as well if you're in the US. And you get the screwdriver and a bunch of screws for the propellers, the prop guards, and the battery cover on the bottom. And of course, the controller. So this is kind of the size, this controller has kind of the size of a, similar to the size of the X5C, SEMA X5C type of controller. It's kind of a mini version of a full-size looking controller. The controls are actually swappable between modes, so you can either have the throttle on the left-hand side or have the throttle on the right-hand side if you wanted to. You just push these up and down, these tabs. Of course, you got the on-off switch here. You've got all your trims here, and let's talk about a couple of the features of the Hex before we go out and fly it. So throttle up and down depending on which mode you have. This is your yaw left and right. You've got your roll left and right and your pitch forward and back. You've got the trim for your roll here, trim for your pitch here. If it's flying in one direction or the other, drifting, you just hit this in the opposite direction and it should correct it. And then you've got your yaw trim here. I don't know what this button does. I think if you do have the FPV setup, this may start and stop the FPV or take pictures. On this version I have here, clicking this doesn't do anything. So I'm assuming it's if you do have that FPV kit attached. And down near the bottom of the controller, we've got on the left hand side here, this would be basically, let me just go through this here. When you first turn it on, it's in beginner's mode. It's actually, there's some writing here on beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Now the way this works is, you'll see this little oval here, and when you first turn it on, it should be in beginner mode, which is a real easy way of flying. It's not going to pitch and roll too much, so it's good for indoor flights, or if there's no wind outside. You click it once, it goes into intermediate mode, and that gives you more pitch and roll to fight wind and fly faster. You click it one more time, that goes into advanced mode. Now the advanced mode on this Hex is pretty interesting. It's what it's supposed to do is when you're in advanced mode and you push the roll or tilt stick in one direction, once it hits like 90%, it'll do a flip in that direction. I did the testing on this and it's a little interesting, so I'll go over that a little more when we come back from the flights, and we'll have a final thoughts on how that works. So anyway, that's the beginner, intermediate, and advanced button here. And then you've got your, so this is your mode. So this will go between mode 2 and mode 4, depending on if you have the controls switched. If you wanted your tilt and pitch on this side and your yaw on this side, that's what this bottom button here would do. It would just change that for you. So I'm familiar with mode 2, which is your yaw on your left and your pitch and tilt on your right. So that's the way I have it, mode 2. And this dial here, this dial actually will limit the throttle. So say you have a beginner pilot or you're a beginner pilot, you'll go ahead and just turn this all the way down to have the actual throttle for rising in the air a little more mellow. So it'll actually take a lot more of your stick to actually get it up higher, and I don't think it actually goes to full throttle in this. You see how it's going to about 69% all the way at the top. So as you get better and you don't mind it flying around a little faster, you just turn this up, and you can gradually turn it up. It looks like it's a potentiometer. So as you get better, you can go ahead and start turning this dial up. And as you can see, I have the stick all the way to the top. So we went from 69% maximum throttle, and I'm turning it, and it's going to give us all the way to 100% where it's turned all the way to the right. So once you get good and you want to fly faster and climb faster, you would just turn this all the way up. And the last thing are these two buttons on the top, the two trigger buttons. So what you do with these is you hold, if you're flying and you would like to activate headless mode, you go ahead and hold this in for 2 seconds. You hear those two beeps, and that'll put it in headless mode. What headless mode is no matter which way the multi-rotor, the HexCopter, is facing, when you pull back on the stick, say it's not facing away from you, say it's facing sideways, when you're in headless mode and you pull back on the stick, it'll actually come back to you. Left will go left, right will go right, according to the way you're standing and the way it remembers where you are. So if you'd like to turn off headless mode, you just go ahead and hold this down for 2 seconds again. If you're still in headless mode, to use the return to home button, and you only can use the return to home while you're in headless mode, is you just press this one time, you'll hear a single beep, and the actual HexCopter will, no matter which way it's facing, once you press this and it's in that headless mode, it'll just come back in your direction. Now it's only going to come back to you in the direction it was launched from. So if you're flying like way off to the right side and you press that button, it's just going to come back in this direction. It's not going to actually come diagonally back towards you. So keep that in mind when you are using that. It's just kind of a panic way to kind of, if you're losing it, to get it back towards you. Once the HexCopter does come back in your direction, it's just going to keep going. Even if you would think maybe it would stop where you are, it's not going to stop. If you don't press anything, it's going to keep coming past you. So at that point, you would want to turn off the return to home by pressing this one more time. And then to turn off the headless mode, you'd hold this in for 2 seconds. Okay, so that's basically everything about the controller and what's in the box. Final thing is the manual. Just your regular manual. Pretty easy to understand. I was pretty impressed with the way the manual was written, and it also talks about if you would like to get the aftermarket FPV kit. It tells you how to hook it up and what it's all about there. Before you take the X600 HexCopter out for your first flight, what I'd recommend doing is gyro calibration. And the way you do that is basically finding a level surface, a completely level surface, setting it on that surface, making sure the HexCopter is level. Let's go ahead and pop in the battery. Slides right in. Okay, so battery's in, plugged in. We're going to go ahead and switch this on. The top there. You'll see the flashing lights. Go ahead and turn the controller on. You're going to push up, down. You're going to hear one beep, but it still won't fly. You have to go up and down one more time. And now it's ready to fly, as you can see there. To calibrate the gyro, you're going to be on that super level surface like I was talking about. So probably around the house, the most level surfaces are going to be, say, your countertops are pretty level. Put the hex down, and then all you do is you put both sticks to the bottom right. You're going to see the flashing, let the sticks off, and there you go. You just calibrated your gyro. So now we're ready to fly. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this thing outside. We'll get some park flights. We'll do some indoor flying and see exactly how this bad boy performs, and come back for some final thoughts and pros and cons. Let's see how it does. Hey guys, welcome back. So we took the X600 out, we did some outdoor flights, we did indoor flights, we did park flying, and we got to test this thing. Pretty much we ran it through all the paces and got to test how it really works. And I am fairly impressed with the way this flies. Aside from the sleek design, and it seems to have a pretty high durability, and it's also 7.4 volt, which is nice to have that extra lift. In some of the video you saw, I was actually using this, the bottom portion here, with the RunCam Action Cam, kind of like a Mobius Action Cam competitor. And this thing just didn't even know it was there. Basically, I had really good lift, flew super fast with the cam on there. So I'm really impressed with its ability to actually lift up some of those lighter action cams. Well, let's go ahead and go through some of the flight times with the camera attached or with it actually just naked like this. Basically, charge time is going to be about an hour with the built-in charger and the built-in or the stock 700 mAh battery it comes with. Now let's go through some runtime numbers. So without the camera I had attached to the bottom, with the stock 700 mAh battery, I was getting 11 minutes. Now that's just with no landing gear, nothing. That's just basically how you have it, how you see it right here. So 11 minutes on a stock battery, that's pretty darn good. That's a lot of time to take it through its paces and pretty much do everything you want to do. So I was very impressed with that. Now I also have a couple of different batteries, and these are a good option for upgraded batteries. I have the Turnigy 950 mAh and also the Electron Pro 950 mAh that I've been able to fit into the battery compartment. These guys were giving me 14 minutes consistently. So for that extra 250 mAh, you're basically getting an extra 3 minutes of runtime. So that's pretty good. I actually ran these batteries 5 times. So I flew 5 times constant flights for that 14 minutes. Actually, well, some of those flights were actually with the camera attached to the bottom, and I'll get to that in a second. And then with the stock battery, I ran it 3 times. So total of 5 times with these batteries and 3 times with the stock battery, for a total of 8 flights so far. With that RunCam HD camera, I was able to get 11 minutes with these batteries carrying that load. Basically that RunCam, I'll have the links in the description of where you can check out that RunCam, which I actually took all of the flight video with. So 11 minutes with the action cam attached to the bottom on this dual lock Velcro here, which is pretty good. And 9 minutes with the built-in stock battery and the RunCam. So these flight times are really good, and let me just reiterate how good this thing flies with that camera. I've never had another multi-rotor, HexCopter, QuadCopter, anything that flew and lifted that payload as good as this does in those different scenarios. So now we're going to run through some of the pros and cons, some final afterthoughts on the way this thing flies. Real fast, good acceleration, good lift because of the 7.4 volt power. No problems with motor failures or nothing. I really pushed this thing with these heavier, larger batteries, and it did super well. Excellent. The actual gyro seemed to have an issue with drifting to the left. So I did calibrate the gyro several times, and it seemed like it would take off at the first part of the flight perfectly level, and then after about a minute it would want to drift pretty hard to the left, and I had to trim that out with this trim button here to get it level again. And then when I put in the new battery and started it up again, leveled the gyro, it would actually fly too far to the right because this was already trimmed to the right for about a minute, and then that would settle into where the setting I had. So there's something a little bit strange with at least this review unit I have here, and it seems like it's just maybe a little problem with the gyro or something with the balance that may have been, or even the software. So it's something that may just be from the unit I got here, but it's pretty easy to iron it out by just clicking the trim here until it flies level. So that was one con there. The next con was going to be the Rate 3, the advanced mode here, which was by clicking this in multiple times until that oval fills up and you're in advanced mode. I really didn't see this being usable. It was actually more of a hindrance than usable, unless you're in like absolutely zero wind and you're in a big open field. Reason being is when you're trying to fly it and you accidentally go a little too far up, it just flips in every direction that you're pushing it. And in order to get out of that mode, like if it starts tumbling and the wind picks up, you've got to hit this button once to get you back to normal mode, which is really doesn't pitch and roll very much at all. So if you're in a high wind environment and you get in trouble with this advanced thing by flipping around all the time, and then you go back into, if you can find the button and you go into beginner mode, you've got to click again to intermediate mode, and then you can fight the wind and you can fly perfectly. So I really didn't see the need for that flipping in any direction when you're in this advanced mode. I thought it was more of a hindrance than an actual kind of cool feature. I kind of wish that they would have just left it as a higher pitch and roll angle so that you could just go faster instead of including that flip when you hit 90%. Because that really, I mean, I'm a pretty good pilot, and that kind of threw me off a couple times in a little bit of wind. I kind of went into panic mode. But so that was another con. Not too big. I mean, intermediate mode. Whoops. Intermediate mode, which is that one there, the half oval, was fine. It gave me all the pitch and roll. I think it was maybe 20 or 30%, so I was able to pick up some pretty good speed. The next con is going to be the antenna location in the controller. I did take this controller apart just to see where the antenna location was, and I guess because it has the ability to put on an FPV system, they didn't want to put the antenna up here. So this is basically just a hollow piece of plastic to mount their FPV system on if you went that route. And the antenna board is down in here, and then the antenna, it's a good antenna. It does have the shielded coaxial, and then it has a decoupler and the correct wavelength, quarter wavelength of 2.4 gigahertz antenna in here. But it's basically just seated in the back between the batteries and the bottom of the controller here. Now it did have good range. So the con is the location of the antenna, but it did have good range. I was getting about 200 to 250 feet of range on this, which is pretty good for a stock multi-rotor like this. What I wish they would have done was some kind of antenna location to kind of bring it up out of the controller, but I'm not sure how that would conflict with their FPV setup if you did get the FPV setup. So it was kind of a trade-off. But I do plan to possibly mod this controller to get more range. So I'm probably going to make another video on how to mod this controller for better range. I'm assuming it'll probably give me 300 to 400 feet, maybe even 500 feet of range after the mod, just bringing the antenna up and out. And then I'll also be opening this up in that video to see how we can better the range in the copter as well. Let's move on to the pros. The pros are going to be 7.4 volt. Everybody wants more power, you get more speed, more lift, fly faster. lift heavier objects. So the 7.4 volt is a big pro. I put those 8 battery packs, some of which were these heavier, larger capacity battery packs. No problems with the motors. Motors worked fine, flew perfectly. Second thing is it's really good in wind. It flew really well in wind, even on the intermediate mode. I was even flying in 20 mph wind, and it could handle its own. I could push through the wind, go sky high, 200 feet or so, and still be in full control and fighting the wind up there. And I attribute that to probably mostly this kind of low profile design it has. If you look at it from the side, you can really see how kind of sleek and low pro the arms and the body are. Another pro was the low battery flashing lights, the warning. It would actually flash and give you like a minute to land. So I really appreciate that. These guys did a great job at actually giving you time to land. I know I also have the X5C1 quadcopter, and that thing, man, as soon as the lights start to flash, it'll just fall to the ground. So I really appreciate these guys giving you that extra time to land the craft before it falls out of the sky. Another pro is it's fast. This thing will go really fast, being that it is 7.4 volts. I'm really enjoying how fast this thing is. It flies really well. I wouldn't recommend flying it indoors. As you saw in the video, when I tried to do just a yaw test, it kind of flew all over the place. It couldn't really keep a steady yaw circle because of that the drift problem it had with the gyro. So I'd recommend, if you do have that drift issue with this, which you might not, it might just be this one I got here, just fly it outside. I wouldn't recommend, if you have that problem, to fly it inside, because you might run into something or hit something. Another pro is it lifts payload really well, being that it has 6 rotors, 6 motors, and it is really light. It can lift, I mean, I'd be surprised if it couldn't lift like a GoPro. So really impressed with its lift capacity. And the range is pretty good range for a copter like this. Even though the antenna was down in the bottom of the controller, it did have really good range. And I noticed that if I was losing range at like 200 to 250 feet, all I had to do was kind of twist the controller, maybe put my arms up a little and turn it this way, like a little more out, and it would actually get back into range. So not that big a deal. Now that we kind of talked about the pros and cons, how it flew and everything, I'm just going to kind of touch base on what I did to fit these larger capacity batteries in. This will be like a little mini mod how-to real quick. So the battery it comes with, as you've seen, is this 700 mAh here, which fits in fine. Everything closes up. Now these 950 mAh batteries, which I'll have links to in the description, these actually will fit in pretty good too. They're just a little more narrow, so you're going to want to center them in the craft, push it all the way to the back. You'll kind of hear a little click. And the way you get these in is it'll go in, it'll close up with these wires. These wires are going to have to, the actual JST connector is going to have to kind of hang out the back when you plug it in. But to get this thing in more comfortably, there's this little ridge here that holds the stock battery a little better, and I just basically took an X-Acto knife and trimmed that edge down just so it could close on this battery without it like pushing into the battery too much. So just a little trimming there and you're all set. This battery goes in real well. You basically just push the balance connector down in there, put the JST connector through this little hole, close it up. You just push it down and then push it forward. It closes the whole door. And then you just plug in this this JST connector that's kind of hanging out the back. Now you can push it in a little bit, but with the battery you're not really going to be able to push this whole thing into the bottom. So, you know, it might look a little weird from when you're close up to it, but when you're in the air you can't even see this cable hanging out. It's pretty discreet. And while we have it flipped over, here's the actual plug-in if you do decide to get that FPV system. This would be the camera plug-in down here. Okay, well I think that wraps it up for the MJX X600 HexCopter. Again, this is a review unit from GearBest.com. Please check the links in the description on where to get this fantastic hex. Great flyer. Very happy with it. One of the best outside flyers I've actually had to review so far, or owned in general. So I'm really liking this guy, and I think you will too. Today we actually have something to give away to you guys for free. So the folks at sellmegaphone.com have actually given me this model to give away to all of you. If you like something like this, it's just looks like a container you attach to your seatbelt across your chest, and put your cell phone on speakerphone, throw it in, and your hands free talking on the speakerphone. It actually amplifies in the chamber the speakerphone capabilities, so it's very audible in the car. I know I could have used this a lot during my life. Just the ability to throw the phone somewhere on my body and have my hands free. So if you'd like to win this, go ahead, and all you got to do is subscribe to the channel and leave a comment in the description of this video on why you like the videos on this channel. Please also mention in your comment that you'd like the Cell Megaphone, and I will randomly pick a winner and send it away to you for free if you're in the US. If you are international, you would just pay the difference on that and postage out of the US. Good luck. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.